I'm a fool. I spent years studying the workings of the heart. Yet it seems I still haven't learned a thing. The process of encoding hearts is incalculable. The inhabitants of my twilight town were data created from real hearts. I was convinced that they would think and behave the way I had envisioned, but I couldn't have been more wrong. A heart is so much more than any system. I saw it when Roxas and Kyrie crossed paths. I knew, but I was too stubborn to accept it. It's always the same. I try to wrap my mind around things my heart already knows, only to fail. I had so many plans in store, but once Sora was an acting force, they fell apart. All my research amounted to nothing compared with that one boy's heart. Have your laugh. I deserve as much for failing to see you for the fool you are. Xehanort, foolish apprentice of a foolish man. My disregard brought chaos to more worlds than one. But what were you seeking? You have surpassed nothing, only proved how little we both know. We may profess to know the heart, but its essence is beyond our reach. We're both ignorant, as oblivious as when we began. I'm afraid that any world you try to create, any world of yours, would be an empire of ignorance. I had so many plans in store, but once Sora was an acting force, they fell apart. All my research amounted to nothing compared with that one boy's heart.
Perhaps I wanted to atone for events of the past, even if no apology can undo the harm I have wrought. I felt that I ought to leave at least something behind. A clue, I hope, to finding yourselves or your lost friends in your hour of need. The heart has always been quick to grow. Each exposure to light, to the natural world, to other people, shapes this most malleable part inside of us. Sora was the only one able to return to his human form without destroying his nobody. That is a statement to the love in his heart for other people and the bonds that tie them together. Perhaps he has the power to bring back the hearts and existences of those connected to him, to recreate people we thought were lost to us forever. He has touched countless hearts, and he has saved them. And some of those hearts have never left him, whether they fell into darkness or were trapped there, whether they sleep in the darkness of Sora's heart, or were welcomed into its warmth. They can be saved.
I had so many plans in store, but once Sora was an acting force, they fell apart. All my research amounted to nothing compared with that one boy's heart. So many plans in store, but once Sora was an acting force, they fell apart. All my research amounted to nothing compared with that one boy's heart.
Our most precious treasures, even an empty puppet, the trees of the forest, and the petals on the wind. There are hearts around us everywhere we look. And it does not take superhuman powers to see them. Surely we remember as children the way our hearts made everything seem so shiny and perfect. Sora has a heart like that, uncorrupted, willing to see the good before the bad. When he sees the heart in something, it then becomes real. When a connection seems broken, he may have the power to mend it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge. It's a beautiful day, not only because we get to talk Kingdom Hearts, but because we get to talk Riku. He's my favorite Kingdom Hearts character. I'm sure for a lot of you, he's your favorite Kingdom Hearts character. We're on episode 299 of the Landy Lodge, which means episode 300 is right around the corner. Giving you guys a heads up, this Monday is July 13th, 7/13, Kingdom Hearts Day. So we're going to be going live with episode 300 on Monday night, 5:30 p.m., all about the Master of Masters. But today's episode 299. Today's episode's about Riku. But before we dive all into that, let's shout out the early birds who are here. I see we've got Grump Crump, Blue Mega, Sonic the Fox, Andy, Talvis Moon, Josh Z, Vitrin, Dr. Big Boy Barrett, Tony Kinetic, Tarnish Batosai, Cassidy Bursch, D Norse, Skazfish, Ezor, Deza, Jesus Guerrero, Tiger Weirdo, and I see Vitrin and Skaz up at the top again. Let's run it. Z's Lores Rant is here as well, and so is Dennis Martin. Just in time for that early bird shout out. Okay, now, let's dive right into it, okay? When it comes to Riku, you know, we look at the Kingdom Hearts series, his biggest time to shine was Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm a firm believer that Kingdom Hearts 2 Riku is the best Riku. In the same way I feel KH3 Sora is the best Sora. And KH3 Kairi, the best Kairi. Anyway, that aside, love for Kingdom Hearts 1, just want to say. But that aside, when it came to Kingdom Hearts 3, Riku took more of a backseat to characters like Sora and Kairi. However, I thought Kingdom Hearts 3 not only did a good job of reinforcing Riku's character arc, I think it introduced a lot of mysteries surrounding Riku that I don't think get enough attention. And what if I were to tell you that there is a Xehanort-sized elephant in the room, a Xehanort Darkness-sized elephant in the room when it comes to Riku, that I don't see anybody talking about, but that we are most certainly going to talk about today. And that Xehanort-sized elephant in the room is, why is Riku throneless? Why does Riku never get any of the royal imagery that a lot of the other Kingdom Hearts characters, especially those in the main cast, might get? Now, someone in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but fan art aside, we do not have a pose of Riku on the throne. We do not have the same sort of royalty energy or royalty aura that other characters might have. Now, again, Nomura with his art is very deliberate. And there's my buddy Kobe. So if you hear any barking in the back, that's just my dog. But Nomura is very deliberate with his art, in the sense that he's putting out all that art of Xehanort holding the umbrella in Quadratum. There you have it. Xehanort holds the umbrella in Quadratum. So typically, what Mr. Nomura, let's say, Papa Nomura, tends to draw in his concept art has some sort of foreshadowing or meaning towards the future. In the same way that a game's secret episode is usually giving you insight to the next game's endgame. We'll talk about that later. But I see, again, very deliberate use of royal and throne imagery when it comes to Sora, Kairi, and Xehanort. Now again, I see many bringing up that Riku was the Keyblade's original chosen, and we're certainly going to talk about that as well today, because I think there's something that about that particular plot point that a lot of people are missing, and how it plays into Riku's adversity and character arc in general. Okay, getting back to it. There's a few other characters who may be candidates to have thrones, but again, you would think, based on how Kingdom Hearts has gone, that we would see Riku on that bottom throne down there, and not Xehanort. Yet that seems to be the case. Also keep in mind, think about King Mickey. King Mickey was Riku's mentor during Chain of Memories. So, and this is what I mean about this elephant in the room. So he's going to mentor under King Mickey. In KH3, essentially exist as equals with King Mickey. He's going to be the Keyblade's chosen, but still no royal imagery for himself. Keyblade Master, right? But no royal imagery for himself. And again, it's not just Sora, Kairi, and Xehanort. We've also got King Mickey. You want to take it a step further? Let's talk about Yozora, Verum Rex, the true king, which also has implications for the Nameless Star. So we're racking up all these different sort of royalty accolades for other characters, be it throne imagery or their title, be it King Mickey or Verum Rex. But here we are with Riku, and he has no such claim to fame to go by. No such claim to fame to go by. Now, before I take that into my next point, let's see what the chat is talking on. Andy says he's got aura. He doesn't need a throne. I actually agree. That's why I'm hoping, and again, Nomura will take it where he's got a plan for, but I'm actually hoping that that Riku doesn't end up with a throne, that he's something else, maybe something greater, maybe something more ethereal. We'll get into that. Dyza says because he is the shadow that helps the king from the dark. See what I'm saying? Something more ethereal. These are the kind of things that I think they could really play with. Okay, Desmumi over on Twitch says, no way I'm about to see the stream when I'm about to get off. I assume you mean get off work. Damn it, just discovered you, so I wanted to give you a huge shout out. I follow Prodigy, HMK, and Secret Reports, and I follow your theories as well. Well, look at that. That's good company to be named among. So thank you, Desmumi. Okay, let's see what else we've got. I've never noticed, says Esor. Yeah, I've not seen this particular part of Riku discussed, which is exactly why I wanted to lead off with it today. I think this is a great place to start the show because I think it's a hint towards Riku's future, and that what some of you in the chat are getting on, that he may have maybe not a bigger role to play, but a less defined role to play among, say what you will, royalty imagery. Okay, now, something I should have mentioned in the pre-roll, there is a storm rolling my way. I think we'll be okay. I think we could persevere through it, but if we get knocked off about halfway through, I may finish it another day. But just giving you that heads up. That aside, let's move on. He's a knight, says Vitrin. See, I want to go down that road a little bit, but think about Donald and Goofy, right? Goofy is a knight, and he gets to have that knight imagery. So another point about royalty imagery not being withheld from other characters, but seemingly being withheld from Riku. And with that, let's take a swig for the hardworking men and women at Square Enix. Okay, now, given this lack of throne imagery, given this lack of a royal title, let's talk about the fact that a major part of Riku's character arc in the original game, in a sense, is a fear of being replaced. You follow me? And when we consider Yozora the true king mirroring Riku's appearance, you have a lot of body snatching, identity snatching in Quadratum, and you have a character who has a history of a fear of being replaced, and that fear manifesting in several different ways throughout his personal journey. And now, ladies and gentlemen, can we get a shout out and some love for Wayward Dawn, dropping in with today's first super chat. Let's get you up on the screen. Beautiful. Wayward Dawn says Riku is an actual active threat to the Master of Masters because he can harness both light and darkness. And don't you worry, we've got a whole segment later in the episode where we're going to talk about Riku and the Master of Masters. So I'm glad you brought that up because I think he may be more of a target than we may have originally thought. Now, what I mentioned about Riku's fear of being replaced, let's put that to the side for now. We're going to bring that up again later. Here's something I want to discuss in regards to seeing these characters with their throne imagery. Sora, Kairi, Xehanort. King Mickey having this royal title. And then you have Yozora with the Verum Rex title indicating true king. Now hear me out, chat. Hear me out. What if this is what the Seven Crowns was about all along. We have had many chats on this podcast. I've seen other creators discuss it down to infinitum. That point being, there's this new label of 7 crowns, and nobody knows exactly who or what these 7 crowns might be. But I'm actually starting to think Nomura may have revealed it to us without us even realizing. Let's take, for instance, that maybe 7 crowns is referring to the characters who have this royal or throne-like imagery. So we can say for certain, let's just take this theory at where we're going, right? We could say for certain, Sora will be 1 crown, Kairi will be another crown, Xehanort will be a 3rd crown. And we can say maybe that's why we're seeing this throne imagery. These are 3 of the 7 crowns. Take it one step further. King Mickey. So now we have 4 of the 7 crowns. We've got 3 who have a throne imagery and 1 who's quite literally referred to as a king. So that gives us 4. 3 spots left. Who else could they go to? Let's turn our attention towards Yozora, shall we? Let's turn our attention towards Yozora, who is labeled Verum Rex, the true king. Now again, the implications of that can go many different places. But the fact of the matter is, he is among the characters who have been listed with some kind of royal connotation. Verum Rex. So that would give us 5. And now consider that if Sora and Yozora are the mirror images of one another, Sora is sky, day sky, Yozora is nighttime sky, then if Sora has this sort of direct mirror image of himself in the world of Quadratum, then Kairi would too. Perhaps that's the nameless star. So what if that is 6 of the 7 crowns right there, and the reason we can put them there is because there is either throne-like imagery, royalty imagery, or a royal-like title like King Mickey. We'll go through it. We'll rattle off all 6. Sora, Kairi, Xehanort, the 3 up on screen. King Mickey, number 4, based on his title. Verum Rex, Yozora, true king. And then if we consider he's a mirror to Sora, then we must also consider that maybe the mirror to Kairi, nameless star, might be the 6th of the 7 crowns. And I thought long and hard about what other Keyblade wielder or main character has this royalty type energy or title to fit that 7th slot. But the truth is, I really can't think of one. I can think of Donald and Goofy, Royal Knight and the Mage, but I just don't think that's going to do it. I don't think that's going to do it. I do think there is a 7th crown out there that we don't know about yet. Could be a character we already know. In fact, I'm willing to bet it might be, but we don't know for certain. But I'm willing to bet when we consider that Riku is throneless Riku, when we consider that Riku is throneless, we consider the characters that have been given this kind of concept art. We consider the characters that have some kind of royal title, be it as direct as King Mickey or through Latin words like Verum Rex. Suddenly the 7 crowns is suddenly making just a little bit more sense. All right, let's see what chat is getting on. Andy suggests that it could be Ventus. I don't know about Ventus. I don't know. There's just hasn't been any of that sort of imagery with him just yet. And I feel like he's been around for so long that if he were to have a throne-like image, okay, here. Actually, hold on. Hear me out, guys. Wait a minute. This is why we have these conversations. The image is a little blurry. Let me see if I can find a better one. Okay? Because all of a sudden, perfect. This is exactly what I want. Okay, gang, check it out. Wait a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, do not write him out yet. Ladies and gentlemen, do not write him out yet. There is a chance, I'm willing to say, that among the remaining candidates, I'm perhaps maybe willing to give this to Ventus. I'm perhaps maybe willing to give a point in the Ventus column for one of the 7 crowns. Now, again, he's on the throne sleeping. I don't think that's enough to disqualify. If we look at Kyrie, she is sleeping as well. I suppose the only difference and the only disqualifier I could maybe throw at Ventus is that these seem like thrones built for them, and whereas Ventus is just like plopped onto a chair to sleep. We'll see. We'll see. I think it's worth considering. As Iron Line says, sleeping on a throne for a decade, right? Right? Gotta give him his credit, man. That's a man who's committed. Okay. Let's see. What if, because of bloodlines, Riku takes Xehanort's throne? You see, I think that theory would have more credence if we didn't know Xehanort was coming back. Because that's another reason why I'm actually thinking this very well could have something to do with the 7 crowns. Because what was a question we asked ourselves in a recent episode, right? What purpose does the Master of Masters have for Xehanort? Now, again, your guess is as good as mine. But if we consider this potential 7 crowns angle, perhaps that would be why the Master of Masters had a vested interest in Xehanort being in Quadratum. Because while I believe Xehanort did that of his own agency, I also do believe that everything is going according to plan for the Master. So at the same time, I'm willing to bet that question can be answered if Xehanort, based on what we see here, is indeed one of the 7 crowns. That would be my guess. Ventus said to Sora, "You're my second chance." So he's definitely connected and chosen. Correct. And I just think the only thing keeping me from really considering him is I would just need a little bit more royalty imagery as opposed to sleeping on the throne, right? Because even though Kyrie's sleeping on the throne, that's her throne. She's sitting there like she belongs there. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like Ventus looks like the sleeping kid you just plopped in the back of the car, you know, in like the baby seat, and you just plop them in and they're just sleeping. Like, that's kind of what that looks like. He doesn't own that throne the way Sora, Kyrie, and Xehanort do. So that's the only reason why I'm not willing to give him as easy a slot into the 7 crowns as I am the other 6, particularly these 3. I feel very confident about these 3. I feel very confident about King Mickey, especially when we see him in Scala, and I feel very confident about Barum Rex. Nameless Star, I feel confident too, just not as much as the previous 5 I've mentioned. The Darkness and Union Cross call him the Chosen One. They do call him a potential Child of Destiny, right? But I'm not sure the Child of Destiny and 7 Crowns are going to be the same thing. But who knows? For all we know, they might. Little swig for Union Cross. Ephemer might be a crown since he built Scala. He basically is a king/leader, in a sense at least. Yes, and you know, we are one Ephemer concept art of him sitting in a throne away from me feeling stronger about that angle. All right. Let's see. I think before we move on, let me check up on how chat is doing still. Let's see. I feel like the Wayfinder trio will act more as knights because they are the only ones with Keyblade armor left. Yeah, in a sense, that's a good point, right? It's like they might be more indicative of what's becoming like royal knights as opposed to like king or queens. Interesting. Very interesting. Excuse me. Okay. Let's see. All right, so let's hop off that for a little bit. We can come back to this. But I wanted to speak a little bit more about another dynamic of Riku's character. Okay? And I suppose we could leave this up, but give me a second here. Give me 1 second. Okay? Let's talk a little bit about the mysteries surrounding Riku, and one being his lineage. So, I think sometimes we Kingdom Hearts fans take for granted that it's never been confirmed. I know there's been the introduction of bloodlines, and we've had Keyblade wielder lines, Keyblade lineages, but I think we take for granted the fact that there has not been a confirmation that Xehanort and Ephemer are a part of Riku's line. Now, look, it is very strongly implied. I want to be clear about that. The silver hair, the blue eyes, there's a very strong implication that that's true. However, we have to consider that it hasn't been confirmed. The only confirmed lineage for Riku would just be being a part of Terra's Keyblade lineage, in the sense that he passed on the Keyblade to Riku, in that sense. But I want to bring something up about these two characters in particular, and how they match up with Riku. So let's take for a minute the idea that there is a connection that threads the three of these characters together. Let's take for a minute the idea that maybe they may not be a Keyblade lineage, but very well could be a blood lineage. What could be the thread that ties all three together? I can think of a few minor threads outside of their aesthetics, but I want you to hear me out. Because I think the answer to Riku's future, and even though his blood lineage is a mystery, let's say that maybe we've got it pinned here, I think there may be a hint to Riku's future if we look at Xehanort and Ephemer's past. So what do Xehanort's journey and Ephemer's journey have in common? I'll take a swig. Let everybody, all the folks at home, think about it. What do Xehanort's story and journey and Ephemer's story and journey have in common? I see Zlor Rand say, I think Riku is a descendant of Ephemer, which would open up some interesting ideas for Riku and his story. I think that's true too, but we do have to consider that it has not been confirmed. That's not a confirmed blood lineage. I would bet on it, but it's not confirmed. So hear me out. They lost their friends, says Kitty Caliber. That's a good one. A Pawn of Darkness, says Flower Demon. That's a good one. But you know something? We're going to go very Kingdom Hearts here. You know what Ephemer and Xehanort did? They traveled through time. Now with Xehanort, we know about the obvious time travel, but don't forget Ephemer. By appearing in the Keyblade Graveyard in Kingdom Hearts 3, that is a level and degree of time travel. Okay? Now remember that he just disappeared. It's also unconfirmed that Ephemer is dead. I almost called him Zephymer, which putting their names together. But we also don't know that he's dead, right? We know that he disappeared. But let's put that aside. Xehanort and Ephemer both time traveled. Xehanort time traveled to the past. Ephemer time traveled to the future. And again, could be an ethereal sense, but he did appear to Sora in the Keyblade Graveyard. So what if that's a hint to Riku's future? What if that maybe wherever Riku is headed, he may be asked to time travel? Because that seems to be a theme in Kingdom Hearts as well, is whatever lineage you are a part of, Keyblade lineage or bloodline, you in a sense are going to face similar obstacles and go through certain patterns or similar patterns. But when I look at these two, even as Vitrin says, they both traverse dreams. Good one. Zephymer goes hard. Zephymer does go hard. I'm not going to lie. I kind of liked it when it came out of my mouth. But it makes me wonder if we may be in for some Riku time travel in the future. Because let's not forget that Kingdom Hearts introduced an entire time travel mechanic in Dream Drop Distance that wasn't that long ago in Kingdom Hearts years. In our time, it was a long time ago. But in Kingdom Hearts years, it was not that long ago time travel was introduced. I don't think it's going to be something that only concerns Xehanort. I have another theory about how the Master wants to use time travel. We'll save that for episode 300 on Monday. Maybe Riku's going to be the one who needs to counter it. I don't know. All I know is I'm willing to bet that in some way, shape, or form, there's a good chance that Riku's going to have to confront time travel in one way or another. Either he has to do it or he's got to stop someone from doing it. Either way, we got ourselves another super chat, ladies and gentlemen. $10 from Dom Rock, longtime sage of the lodge. Says Ephemer disappearing from New Scala and breaking a nature taboo to save Sora in his nature taboo is so good. Well, this is what I'm wondering too. Did Ephemer take the forbidden path? Will Riku eventually have to take the forbidden path? Because that's something else to consider as well. That Xehanort took the forbidden path. As Dom Rock pointed out, it is compatible that Ephemer may have done something similar too. What will then be the choice for Riku? I don't know. But I like that. Ephemer disappearing from New Scala and breaking a nature taboo to save Sora in his nature taboo is so good. Listen, nature breaking homies, as Magical Val Girl says, these are rule breakers. That's kind of what I'm starting to notice too about a lot of the most important characters to Kingdom Hearts plot is they're rule breakers. And I understand why. Now, Sora, it came to him a little bit more naturally. But the reason why characters like Xehanort or Ephemer might be a little more deliberate about it is because to break the rules is to rebel the master, so to speak. But again, when I take a look at this, I can't help but wonder. Ephemer went to the past. Xehanort went to the past. Ephemer went to the future. What then will Riku do? We'll see. But all right. What's going on, Struck? Good to see you. All right. I want to definitely talk about Riku being a Dream Eater. That's definitely going to be a big part of today's show. Because I think there's a lot of mysteries surrounding him as a Dream Eater as well. But what I would really like to actually talk about is take a minute and go back to a little something that I mentioned earlier in the show. And that's the fact that a big part of Riku's arc and a big part of what he's facing is this fear of being replaced. An innate fear of being replaced. And here, let's pull this up. All right. Throw it on loop. Let's talk about our boy. So Riku has this innate fear of being replaced. And it manifests in a lot of different ways throughout the Kingdom Hearts series. So let's get started like this, right? If we look at Kingdom Hearts 1, Riku's fear of being replaced manifests in a lot of different ways. In one angle, his fear of being replaced manifests when he looks over at Donald and Goofy and he feels like Sora has replaced Riku and Kairi with Donald and Goofy. That's the first time you see that fear of being replaced manifest. Now, there's another way that it manifested, in a sense, when Riku lost the Keyblade to Sora. The Keyblade pivoted from Riku to Sora. So right there, Riku was replaced. The Keyblade replaced Riku with Sora. And now Riku was afraid that Sora was replacing him with Donald and Goofy. So again, that fear of being replaced just constantly manifesting at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 1. And then again, as I said, it manifests in many different ways. We watch it literally take him over. When Ansem takes his body over. Another way of his fear of replacement being manifesting. His heart was replaced. The heart within his body was replaced. Maybe in a more symbolic sense than literal, but the point is that fear of being replaced just kept manifesting to Riku in Kingdom Hearts 1 to the point it completely took over his body, mind, heart, and soul. Right? He self-prophesized his own downfall and needed to be rescued from our good boy Sora. A little swig for Sora, all right? A little swig for Sora. And now let's talk Chain of Memories. Mind you, that's where King Mickey essentially becomes Riku's mentor, becomes his light. This is what Repliku was all about, right? Repliku, in Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, was a replica created by the organization, primarily Ventus, as a way of turning Riku into a puppet, which is something they clearly wanted to do to get a hold of the Keyblade. They tried to do it with Roxas, Shion, Sora, Repliku, and it was the first iteration of the replica program. So again, this fear of being replaced now is manifesting in the organization, quite literally trying to replace the very idea of you. You're faced with a replica that was created quite literally to replace you. So the fear of being replaced has manifested once again in Chain of Memories. But we see Riku overcome it. Then you have Kingdom Hearts 2. Riku has a fear of being replaced. What happens? In a sense, heart and body replaced. Right? When he takes the blindfold off, he's in Ansem's body. Right? His body has been replaced with Ansem. He still has his heart, right? But in the very Kingdom Hearts 2 sense, with no bodies and bodies, his body was replaced with Ansem. So again, he can't get away from this. He can't get away from this fear of replacement. And even still, he sees the fear of replacement even manifest in days when he's looking at Shion, who's designed to replace Roxas, who was designed to replace Sora. So this fear of his just manifested all around him, not even in the context of his own journey, but even in the journey of other nobodies like Roxas and Shion. And again, Kingdom Hearts 2, body replaced with Ansem's. Now again, we see Sora brings him back in Kingdom Hearts 2. But now, let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay, and I will say, as someone who I love Kingdom Hearts 3, it might be my favorite in the series as the sum of all its parts. I do think the writing in KH2 is superior, but I love the story in, honestly, all three of the main titles. But for the sum of all its parts, it's probably my favorite. But there is something I do want to discuss. Quite literally a scene. Let's skip ahead, okay? Let's take it to right here. Perfect. This is what I'm looking for. So, correct me if I'm wrong, because I do feel as though this is something that confuses a lot of people in Kingdom Hearts 3. So, when it came to KH3, I'll be the first one to say one of the things I loved about it was when we look at KH3 Remind, and the Limit Cut episode, even if we were to include Melody of Memory, Kairi got a lot more spotlight. And sort of in exchange for Kairi getting more spotlight, Riku had a little bit more of a backseat in Kingdom Hearts 3 compared to Kingdom Hearts 2. So, that in mind, a lot of people felt that Riku's journey in KH3 may have fell a little flat, or maybe came away from it not really feeling like there was enough meaning or as much meaning compared to KH2. And I'll be the first one to sing the praises that Sora's at his best in KH3. I think Kairi's at her best in KH3. I maintain that Riku is at his best in Kingdom Hearts 2. But I will also maintain that I think this particular scene and the dynamics that Riku was faced with get underplayed by the fan base a little bit. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a heads up about what I'm planning for the channel, episode 300 will be about the Master of Masters. Episode 301 will be about Final Fantasy VII. And then one of the next episodes, we're actually going to do a full Hero's Journey episode about Riku in Kingdom Hearts 3. Full Hero's Journey breakdown. And in me preparing for that episode, I've realized there's actually a lot more to Riku in KH3 than meets the eye. And that's because we have to consider the character of Riku in his fractured self in KH3. Let's take Repliku, Riku, and Dark Riku, and in a sense kind of wrap them into one for a minute, and consider that Riku may be going through a very existential, not crisis, but a very existential awakening through Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's exemplified by his interactions primarily with Repliku. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, as you guys often do when I get things wrong. Sometimes I do. But when they first introduced Dark Riku to us in KH3, there was the proposal, the hypothesis that this was the Riku possessed by Ansem pulled to the future from the past. But what we actually learn in this scene, chat, is that this isn't Dark Riku pulled from the past to the future. This is actually Repliku from Chain of Memories, pulled from the past to the future. And now again, Repliku, through that and through this Dark Riku, this fear of being replaced not only manifests, but you're going to watch Repliku make peace with the fact that he is replaced. That's what the line, "the world already has you," means. That's why he's willing to give this body to Naminé, this vessel to Naminé, because the world already has Riku. That fear of being replaced is gone. It's pronounced Replica Riku. I know, I like saying Repliku. I like saying Repliku. If it's upsetting you that much, I'll consider saying Replica Riku. But Repliku just sounds so much more fun. But anyway, let's run this scene, and you guys will see what I mean. Is the whole point of this is that fear of being replaced within Riku has been fully overcome. And it's exemplified by Replica Repliku, being willing to give this vessel to Namine. So let's let this roll, okay? Let's let this one roll.
You're not real. Huh? I'm the real one. Aren't you my past self? From when Ansem possessed me? Oh. No. You beat Ansem and you're still here. This guy is me.
Okay, that shot goes so hard. And that's why he had to deal the final blow, so to speak.
Oh. I knew it. It's a replica. A soon-to-be empty vessel. I've been waiting for a chance like this.
Now, you see, if in a sense that part of Riku that feared of being replaced, if he hadn't overcome it, this would have been the moment that Repliku granted himself a real body. There's nothing stopping him. Nothing stopping him, right? Let's keep it going.
Hey! What are you doing?
Just a small little note. I love the fact that Riku was genuinely disturbed by that. I don't think I ever caught that. But like, listen to his reaction. He's genuinely disturbed by what he just saw.
Hey! What are you doing? Take the vessel! No. The world already has you.
The world already has you. He not only has he overcome that fear of being replaced, he understands that it's the right way. In a way, it really differs from Sora's relationship with Roxas and Namine and Shion. And I think that's what's so cool about this, is this almost inverts what happened with Sora's heart. Where inside it was Roxas and Shion and Namine, all of these unique individuals who deserve to be their own people. But what was going on with Riku here was almost like this replica version of himself, this clone of himself, that ultimately chooses that no, the world already has you. Give this to Namine. Which, again, if we're going to draw Repliku's character arc in from it, he's fulfilling his purpose, his devotion to Namine. So, we'll keep it going.
There's someone else who needs the replica more. You know who I mean. Oh, Namine, you're saving her.
He's a good boy. Gotta love it.
Good luck.
And see, this is the only one of all the deaths in the Keyblade Graveyard. This is the only one that shows you that mix of light and dark. It's beautiful because it's symbolic of Riku himself. Literally, this beacon of light is symbolic of Riku and his heart and his journey. And again, it's the little details like this, especially in Cage 3, that I found so worthwhile. That I think, truly, a lot of people underrate how good of a character arc Riku had in Kingdom Hearts 3, because what it's showing you is that he's truly overcome the things that weighed him down through the Dark Seeker saga, as opposed to Sora, who clearly still needs to grapple with a lot of those things, but it's showing you how complete Riku's perspective on all of these things are. And I'll show you where I'm going with this when it comes to Cage 4, now that it looks like we got through the scene. Okay, let me throw a little mute on here. We'll let that roll in the background. But let me say this now. Let me say this. In here, let me put that on mute. When it comes to Riku and Cage 4 now, consider this fear of being replaced, right? In fact, you know what? You know what? I got a little something to pull up. There's a fear of being replaced. That's been the consistent thread going through Riku's character arc, through the Dark Seeker saga. And while he himself seems to have transcended that fear of being replaced, I'm willing to bet that we're going to see that pattern repeat itself and that he will once again be confronted with being replaced. Because again, consider that in Quadratum, Yozora, this isn't what I really looked like. Nameless Star, they took away my name, everything about me. This is a problem in Quadratum, this being replaced, your identity, your heart, your body, it hasn't gone anywhere. So I think in a lot of ways, Riku is walking into a den of vipers in Quadratum that in a sense are going to try to replace him in one way or another. Now, I bring this up because I want to maybe propose something. In fact, actually, good. Let me keep this right here. I got a little something. I got a little something for your ass, chat. I got a little something for your ass. Okay? Let me show something to you. Another thing I think we don't talk enough about. Okay. Give me a second. Let me pull this over. Beautiful thing. Okay. Let's watch the secret movie for a second, chat. Let's watch the secret movie for a second. I want to see if you guys notice something. Okay, I got to talk over this or else I think I'm going to get hit with the music strike. So, take a quick note, okay, of the secret movie. Sora is in Quadratum, right? But let me ask you something. Why doesn't he look like his Quadratum self? He looks like his Kingdom Hearts self. Right? He doesn't have his Quadratum appearance. He has his Kingdom Hearts appearance. So, let's take that a little further. Riku is in Quadratum, right? But he has his Kingdom Hearts appearance. You guys follow me? There's something peculiar going on here. Because everybody else, again, has a Quadratum appearance. But Riku looks like his Kingdom Hearts self. So the truth is, as we can see, with Sora, we see Sora in Quadratum looking like his Kingdom Hearts self, and we see Riku in Quadratum looking like his Kingdom Hearts self. So where am I going with this, chat? What's the point in me showing you this? Well, it makes me wonder, guys, what if we've already seen what Riku looks like in Quadratum? What if it was quite literally staring us in the face this entire time, and that this is quite literally what Riku looks like in Quadratum? Because, let's remember, Some of you might say, and you know what? I'll bring it up. You might say, but wait, Landy, Yuzora's there. That can't be Riku's body. Riku's right here. Yes, but let's remember something. This is a dream. We learned in Melody of Memory that this is a dream. Riku is not actually in Quadratum. This is a dream. So even with Yozora looking at him from the rooftops, remember that this is, again, quite literally just a dream. Just a dream. So I'll say it again. What if Riku's Quadratum appearance quite literally could just be Yozora? If you made the Yozora's other eye blue, you would think it's Riku. If you, quite literally, if you just made Yozora's other eye blue and I didn't tell you anything else about him, you would just think that's Riku. Now again, when Yozora says, save Sora, how do you think he heard about Sora? Who told him about Sora? Could have been in a confrontation with Riku. And let's consider again, what did we discuss leading into this? Riku's fear of being replaced. How this has manifested on his journey time and time and time and time again. What if he's quite literally faced with this in Quadratum? I mean, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm crazy, guys. But have we ever considered the most simple answer to why Yozora looks just like Riku and why he's telling us this isn't what I really look like? Okay, then who looks like this? Okay. Then where'd you get that body? Why do you look like that? Nameless Star said, he's been changed beyond recognition. His heart replaced with another's. I don't know. But what I do know is we've got a $2 super chat from our boy Josh Z. $2 super chat says they are trapped in data like Maleficent was. I don't know about data. I think dreams, when we look at Riku and Yozora, there's a much heavier association with dreams. And also consider that too, that both these characters have a heavy association with dreams. With Riku, you have everything going on with the Dream Eater symbolism, but then with Yozora, he's appearing in Riku's dreams, Sora's interacting with him in his dreams. There's a very peculiar dream-like navigation going on with Yozora. And if we consider the inspirations for Verum Rex and Yozora Quadratum, if we go into Versus 13 and the Fabula Nova Crystallis of it all, that version of Noctis was supposed to have some kind of dream navigation to his character. So again, you're seeing the two of them have this certain overlap. And when we consider Riku's character arc all through the Darkseeker saga, that fear of being replaced, here we have again Nameless Star and Yozora quite literally dealing with that dilemma. I think Goofy mentioned him being Riku in Toy Box. Well, this is the interesting thing, right? When Rex looks at Yozora, he sees Sora. But when Goofy, Donald, and Sora look at Yozora, they see Riku. Which maybe Yozora's real appearance does look more like Sora, but I don't know. Maybe Sora uniquely actually is seeing Yozora for what he really looks like. We have to consider that too, is that even though Yozora is saying this isn't what I really look like, it is possible that Sora is seeing the real Yozora. He does ask, how did you recognize me as Yozora? So again, let me just introduce a little bit of a couple counterpoints to this, but I still think the position stands that people may not be crazy for thinking there's way more of a connection to this than they thought. Laurel Bluebell says, Goofy, Donald, and Sora, please never say them in that order ever again. No, it's not a joke. You're right. I need to be reined in for my nonsense. I should never do that again. Landy, look at Sora's outfit from Toy Box. Yes, it matches Yozora's. Am I right about that? I could pull it up, but I'm pretty sure it matches Yozora's. Man, that's good. Okay. Maybe different people see him differently. There's precedent. Well, again, we've seen that with Shion, right? We've seen that sort of thing with Shion. But when we've seen that in Kingdom Hearts, when you can see everybody sees Shion differently, there's usually a sort of pretense to it. You know? That's why Lucio sees Ventus. You know? Okay. What if Yozora is Riku from an alternate dimension or timeline? I mean, travel does exist in Kingdom Hearts, so it does make sense, right? Maybe. See, here's the thing. I'm not saying this can't exist in Kingdom Hearts, but it's worth noting there's no quote-unquote alternate universe in Kingdom Hearts. Now, there are things like data worlds and dream worlds, but all of that flies under one universal banner, right? We don't have here's Sora A and here's Sora B, but we do have here's Sora and here's Data Sora. But Data Sora exists in this universe on a computer. You know what I'm saying? So even though there are data versions and dream versions, they're all happening in the one universe. So Kingdom Hearts hasn't introduced multiple timelines or alternate universes where, again, Sora A, Sora B, Riku B, Kairi A, Kairi B. Now, I'm not saying that it's not compatible and that something like that can't be born. I've seen some theories that Sora committing the nature taboo split the timeline. There's a timeline where the Guardians lost, where there's one where they won. I've seen those sorts of theories pop up. But the truth is, I have the receipts. The truth is, it's all one timeline. It's all, right now, at least, it's all one timeline. I have the documents and the receipts, people, okay? Right now, one timeline. But we'll see where that goes, right? We'll see where that goes. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. Very good question. Okay. Let's pull up Twitch chat. Grump Crump says data worlds are like artificial realities and dream worlds are like different multiverses. And there's also time travel. So there is time travel. But committing an act of time travel in Kingdom Hearts, based on the rules, doesn't branch into new timelines. Right? When Sora and Xehanort time travel, the consequence isn't that these new timelines branch off. At the very least, that hasn't been shown to us. But again, as for dream worlds are just happening in a world of dreams, right? Like when you and I, like when I have a dream at night, and in that dream, I see my wife and I see my dog. It's not the same, it's not my same wife and dog from here in base reality, but it's a dream version of them happening in my head here in this world, grounded in this world. So that's why, you know, some people will say that these conversations about multiverse, multi-world, different things, it can be semantic. But let me give you guys a little advice. If anyone tries to dismiss your argument as semantic, tell them to look up what semantics means. Semantics means what words mean. So yes, if you're arguing that I'm arguing what words mean, you would be correct. So don't let people dismiss your argument on semantics when you are making a point on what a word means. Wait, isn't sleep and death the same in Kingdom Hearts? Not the same. They touch. The realms of death and sleep touch, but they're not the same. And again, you can have multi-realm in one universe. Right? Because those dreams are happening in the one verse. Like I said. Some may call it semantics. I would say that they're right, but that something being semantic is not dismissed. What's up, Valkyrie? I see you. How we doing? World of Quadratum is a Final Fantasy world. Yet to be confirmed. Yet to be confirmed. That's all I'm going to say. I like the idea, but I think if anything, it's more likely to be a World Ends With You world. You know what I'm saying? I'm just making sure I'm still following since you all be deep in the iceberg. We are pretty deep in the iceberg. That's why we do this. As Magical Val Girl says, not to be confused with ceramics. Correct. All right. The Mad Philosopher says Sora was the only one who split the timeline with his time travel shenanigans. The original timeline ended with darkness winning and the Guardians of Light dying. Sora changed that and we are now on... See, they have not shown... I'm not saying you're wrong, Mad Philosopher, but they have not shown any evidence of that. They've not shown any evidence of that. The implication is that they actually changed history. The implication is they actually wound the clock back. That's the implication. The implication is not that they took him to another dimension or another world where they succeed. It's that Sora wound the clocks back and they tried again. That's the implication. Not saying that they can't pivot, not saying they don't reveal it in another way, but I'm just going based on what the game and the script has told us. Okay. Let's see here. All right, let's see. Okay, we hit the 1 hour mark. Let me make sure. Have I said all I want to say? I think I've said all I want to say about Yozora and Riku. But it's just worth noting that appearances can be confusing. Appearances can be deceiving. So, let me pull up my notes here and make sure I hit everything. Perfect. Actually, I did want to talk about this. Okay. We're going to get a number of characters up on the screen. Because something else, if we're talking about the mysteries that are surrounding Riku, this will go based on what we just discussed. Just hang with me while I assemble all the parts. Okay. And by the way, shout out to OopsX96 on Twitch for following us today. Thank you very much. Do appreciate that. Make sure you guys hit like on the stream, by the way. Let's please that almighty algorithm so small creators like me can get a little bit more seen. But all right. Here's something else I wanted to discuss. Perfect. That's going to do. That's going to do. Let's put that here. Let's move your boy over. Give me Yozora. Let's pull Yozora over here. And now, let's get Nameless Star up on the screen. Okay? Put her right about there. Put Yozora... Oh! Guess I opened him twice. Perfect. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about these two. Okay? And in fact, let me move her over just a little bit. Just a little bit. Make that look a little better. Okay. Let's talk about these two. In speaking of the mysteries that are surrounding Riku in the future of the Kingdom Hearts series, I find it very peculiar that these two characters have a sort of mirror version of themselves in Quadratum. Now, this is definitely more certain for Sora than it is Kairi, but hear me out. Of course, we've gone over it a billion times, just worth saying, Sora and Yozora being a direct mirror image of one another. Nomura has said that in interviews, especially when talking about them in the early days of development, back when Yozora was more Noctis in the Versus 13 days, but that these two were always designed to be a mirror image of one another. Sora meaning sky, Yozora meaning night sky. Now, we have Kairi and the Nameless Star, who I also believe are a mirror image of one another. Now, the reason why I would believe that is if we look at the Verum Rex trailer, even though Kairi has learned how to wield a Keyblade and is a Keyblade wielder now, the truth is her primary contributions and her primary power come from being a Princess of Heart, right? And when it comes to her impact on the series, when it comes to her impact on the series, her Princess of Heart powers always have a bigger impact than her ability to wield a Keyblade. Now, the reason why I bring that up with the Nameless Star is when you look in the trailer for Verum Rex, she's clearly casting a type of spell. She's using a more magical, ethereal type approach, and that is her contribution, as opposed to she's wielding a weapon like Yozora and the other fighters. She seems to have a different role as opposed to just being combat focused. Now, a lot of people in the Versus 13 of it all bring up that she looks a lot like Stella. Now, Stella aside, if she were to be, in a sense, a recreation of Stella or an homage to Stella, that, of course, points to the star imagery. Star imagery, which is very common with Kairi. We see it on her Keyblade, right? We see it with her Lucky Charm. We see it with the Palpu fruit she shares with Sora. So there's a lot of overlap with star imagery when it comes to Kairi and the Nameless Star. And we've done pieces on this. We talked about how Strelitzia plays into the two of them and their trope as well. But this is kind of what I mean when I say there is both of these characters, Sora and Kairi, have a quadratum counterpart that we could point to. Again, for Sora, it's pretty certain. For Kairi, it's heavily implied. Just like Laura was saying, there's a star pendant on her KH3 bracelet, and Andy says she looks like Stella and Kairi combined, which is actually, you're kind of right. I see a little bit of Yuna in there, but Yuna is just one of my favorite characters ever, so maybe that's a projection, but I see your point regardless, Andy. Now, the reason I bring this up, guys, is because Riku has no counterpart. Why doesn't Riku have a counterpart? When we've seen the other two from the Destiny Trio do have one. And again, maybe the answer is the counterparts are unique to Sora and Yozora, and nobody else really has a counterpart of that nature. But when I look at Nameless Star and I look at Kairi and I see those overlaps beginning, it's starting to make me wonder. And I can't help but look at this and think about, has Riku yet to meet his counterpart? Or are we starting to see here, when we talk about all the theories we've discussed with Riku today, right? When we discuss his fear of being replaced, how he used to be the Kingdom Keys chosen, and that was taken from him, how he's the only one among a lot of the main cast who doesn't have any throne imagery, right? We see it with Sora, Kairi, and Xehanort, but not Riku. Constantly, Riku's being replaced. Constantly, Riku is having to adjust his destiny, whether it's his Keyblade breaking in the Realm of Darkness or the Kingdom Key switching from him to Sora. What if Riku truly is the exception? That's what I'm starting to see. I've always believed Sora is more likely to be the quote-unquote exception to the rules of Kingdom Hearts. But there's something in me that's now wondering if it's Riku, given again what's happened to him through the Dark Seeker saga, the fear of being replaced, the Kingdom Key, not having a counterpart, not having a throne or royal imagery. What if Riku is the exception? Perhaps Riku could be the virus that Brain talks about. I don't know. I'm only bringing this up to introduce a mystery that time and time again, when we look at Riku, he continues to be the odd one out. So I can't help but wonder what that's going to mean for him in the world of Quadratum, what it's going to mean to be the odd one out. It's why many people like myself are forecasting a grim fate for him. Nothing he won't be able to rebound from and come back from. But this is, again, why people like me are forecasting a grim fate. Because what do you do when a character like Riku is constantly being the exception, constantly has the fear and danger of being replaced, is the only one who doesn't have this throne or royal imagery as if he was chosen? What's going on there? What's going on there? And I suppose, and let me check, because I think this might be my last little mystery or theory to discuss. Yeah, okay. The Master of Masters. Could he have a plan for Riku? That becomes the question. And let's pull this back up. Beautiful. Let that roll. Does the Master of Masters have a plan for Riku? Does he know who Riku is? Does he consider Riku in his plans? I think that's a question worth asking, because I think it's pretty obvious the Master has an interest in Sora. It's obvious the Master knows who Sora is, has an eye on him, but it's not as obvious with Riku. Which makes me wonder, is Riku the sleeper among the Guardians? Is he flying under the Master's radar? Or is he going to have a crucial role for the Master? Now, we talk about Riku being the exception. Now, he's not the only character capable of wielding both light and dark, but he is perhaps the character who's best at it. And when we looked at what the vanishing of Repliku was in the Keyblade Graveyard, you had that blend of light and dark. So when we consider what makes Riku unique, it's because he, more than many other wielders, has control over both the light and the dark. And in a way, that's how he was brought up following in Ansem's footsteps, following in Xehanort's footsteps, following maybe even in Ephemer's footsteps, so to speak. But when we consider the Master of Masters and what his plans may be up to, we'll talk more about that on Monday. But when we consider the Master of Masters, we have to now ask ourselves, what is it that the Master of Masters wants to do that would require a wielder uniquely like Riku that can wield both light and dark? Will the Master see that as a taboo? Will he see that as something dangerous? I don't know. In that sense, Riku is unique among the bunch. Because when you consider Quadratum, right, if Riku's really going to Quadratum, like we saw at the end of Melody of Memory, he would then be the only wielder in Quadratum who has this ability of wielding light and dark. Because again, you could make a case about Aqua and make a case about Terra, but they're on our side of society. Here, let's jump ahead a little bit here. They're on our side of society, right? Or our side of reality, rather. When we look at Quadratum, Riku would quite literally stand out as this one wielder who's capable of doing both. And I don't know what kind of reaction that's going to garner from other characters in Quadratum. What would Ava think of that? What would Strelitzia think of that? What would Yozora think of that? Who knows? Who knows? But let's take a swig for our man Riku here. Cheers. Stay hydrated, ladies and gentlemen. Very important. All right. KLFFSJ says, if Master of Masters was smart, his plan for Riku would be to not have a plan. Make Riku feel even more irrelevant and replaced. But then it becomes, what is he being replaced with? Who is he being replaced for? What's the angle there? Becomes what to think. But you know what? I want to get back to something I touched on earlier. If we're going to talk about the Master's plan and what Quadratum may hold for our pal Riku. In here. Let's pull this up. Actually, do I have it pre-saved on here? Let's see. I think I do. Beautiful. Won't even have to go that far for it. Do these include... Yes. Okay, let's talk about it. So we discussed, and a lot of that could go either way. We discussed what Yozora and Riku's relation could be. Could this explain his appearance in some way? We've gone down that road. But I want to take us down a different road here. The big question has been, for the longest time, who told Yozora to save Sora? Many have had their theories, myself included. But it makes me wonder if this all comes from Riku. Because, let's be honest, guys, who even has an obligation to save Sora? Who would care about saving Sora? When we think about everyone in Quadratum, is Strelitzia going to say save Sora? Is Ava going to say save Sora? Is the Master of Masters going to say save Sora? Based on what we know in present day, there's no reason any of those characters would ask something like this of Yozora. And I'm not saying that Ava and Strelitzia wouldn't have a heart for Sora, but consider that maybe if Strelitzia had a final word, she might say, save Laurium. If Ava had a final word, it might be save the Dandelions. Who in Quadratum would even give the instruction of save Sora? It has to be Riku. Can't be. Maybe Luke Sword. I can extend an olive branch. Maybe Luke Sword. But to me, it's got to be Riku. And why would Riku ask Yozora to save Sora? Riku's not the kind to ask people to do things for him. It could be that as Riku is being struck down he's going to ask Yozora to save Sora. And maybe it even goes a step further. And maybe Yozora's appearance can be explained by the fact that when Riku is struck down, maybe Yozora takes on his appearance, takes his body. Nothing we haven't seen in Kingdom Hearts before, by the way. Maybe he takes his body, but just under that condition of save Sora. I don't know. Andy says, what if Xehanort or Luxord told Yozora to save Sora? But here's the thing, is Xehanort's already going to make contact with Sora in KH4. You know, not a bad question, but if we just look at the KH4 trailer... Oh, this is the old one. Hold on. Pretty sure I have I've got the new one. Perfect. But if we look at the KH4 trailer, Xehanort's already found Sora. So, for instance, you don't need to ask someone to save Sora if you've already got him accounted for. I've got a feeling Riku and Sora will not make contact in KH4. That's what I'm willing to bet on, that Riku and Sora will not make contact in KH4. And that Sora, as a sort of like final wish or final duty, he may be asking Yozora to save Sora. Because I believe the Master of Masters may have an interest in Riku. When we talk about, right, what sort of interest the Master might have in him, maybe the Master wants a new body. Maybe the Master's the one who's after Riku's body. I don't know. Playing with ideas here. But personally, I think Riku's going down. And I think Save Sora is his last wish to Yozora. And I'll leave it at that. Can you imagine if Yozora somehow took Riku's body after he dies, just like how Roxas takes Shion's Keyblade after her demise? And dude, with the way Quadratum works, with the body snatching, the body hopping, identity theft, you know, it might be a sense of insurance. Like, hey, can you take this? Okay, so for instance, right, maybe this happens. Maybe this happens. Maybe the Master of Masters has a plan that he wants to take Riku's body. Why would the Master of Masters want Riku's body? Because Riku can wield light and dark, and Riku can wield the Kingdom Key. A lot of things people typically have an interest in the Kingdom Hearts world. So maybe to prevent the Master from getting Riku's body, he finds a way to pass it off to Yozora. Don't know. Don't know. In the world of Kingdom Hearts, anything's possible. Okay. Catherine Vargas says, I heard that Kingdom Hearts 4 might be the last game in the series. It's not going to be. It's not going to be. I can say with confidence, Kingdom Hearts 4 will not be the last game in the series. I do think the series is coming to an end. And when I say that, I don't think it ends in the next few years or anything. But I do think it's sunsetting in the sense that more than half of the Kingdom Hearts games have been put out. Let's put it that way. We're past the halfway mark in terms of how many games we're going to get from the Kingdom Hearts series. So I think we're sunsetting in the sense that over the next 5, 10, 15 years, we're going to see the series end. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think there's always going to be room for ports and remasters and remakes and maybe even telling side stories and stuff like that. And maybe Disney and Square Enix or someone else can reboot the series with new characters, a new story, leave Nomura's legacy alone. I think that would be the wisest thing to do. But look, I've been around. I've been on this earth a little over 30 years now. And I've seen stories go two ways. I've seen stories that have a final, definitive ending, like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, like Cowboy Bebop. And because they have this finality to them, they can be digested in a way that allows them to be timeless, that allows them to be with us forever, in a sense. And I've also seen things like, I know some people don't like when I say this example, but I've seen things like Star Wars, which will just pump out content to the point they're just irrelevant. Nobody saw Mandalorian and Grogu. So I've seen what happens when something is just being milked to the point that there's just nothing left but dairy dust, which is what's happened to Star Wars, where there's nothing left but dairy dust. And I've seen when things like Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood give you a complete and final ending so that something can be digested over and over with a sense of finality to it. So it feels complete. It feels whole. Because again, Cowboy Bebop was near 30 years ago. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, well over a decade ago. Yet they're still being watched today, still being talked about today. You know, you don't always have to keep making new shit to stay relevant. Just my thoughts, guys. Just my thoughts. Okay. If KH4 has Star Wars, it might be the best-selling game of the franchise, but the game not being physical will affect it. And, you know, we've talked about that before. You got to remember, Sony ending production of discs doesn't mean everybody will. It just means Sony's not going to produce the disc anymore. But all of our PS5s still have a disc drive, and it will be incumbent upon companies like Square Enix and Capcom to decide if they're going to sell a physical copy on their own dime. So maybe you're going to start to see that the KH4 Collector's Edition has a physical copy that you can do, right? But ultimately what you're seeing is Sony themselves are putting the physical disc production behind them. Whether it ends up being a smart business move, only time will tell. But I think for the gaming industry, it's not a good move. You don't want to live in a world where there's no physical copies. But we've done plenty of podcasts on that. We'll do more of them on that because this Sony story is not going away anytime soon. So we'll definitely keep talking about that too. Okay, Andy says Sigurd has knowledge of the Book of Prophecies, and he knew Brain would arrive to Scala, so he probably also knew Sora and the Heartless would arrive to Quadratum, which is why he is smiling. He is not evil. Well, listen, man, I think we also take for granted, I'm not going to lie, let's pull him up, but I think we take for granted that this is Sigurd. Like, I know the uniform matched, we did it on the podcast episode. I think there's a good chance this could be Sigurd, but like, what if this was somebody from Missing Link? What if this is someone from Missing Link? What if this is what a grown-up Brain looks like? You know, we don't have any context at the end of the day. It could be a new character. It could be someone who was supposed to be in Missing Link. It could be Brain, an older Brain. It could, who knows, man? Who knows? Maybe this is what Lushu looked like before he had to body hop. Who knows? Who knows? Cassidy Birch says, I know this is out of context, but have you ever thought about if Sora brought those Heartless to Quadratum? I don't think he brought the Heartless to Quadratum. I think he brought Darkseid to Quadratum. I think other Keyblade wielders brought darkness to Quadratum. Like a Strelitzia, like an Ava. That's what I think. Okay. Let's pull him back in. So, again, that's what I think is ultimately one of Riku's biggest mysteries, though, is how he's going to connect to Yozora. Because I don't think that dream, even though it ended up being in a dream, I don't think that secret movie and that dream and the look-alike and all of that is going to have any sort of not going to have any sort of payoff. I do think you see in KH4 some kind of interaction between Riku and Yozora. Andy says, in the Missing Link artwork Nomura did, there's also other people that wear the same outfit as Sigurd, so it could be anyone. That's what I'm saying, is we don't know. It could be anyone. I think Sigurd is a really good guess, but it really could be anyone. I really hope we end up seeing what OG Lushu looks like. I hope it's one of those things where it was right in front of us the whole time or something. I don't know. Sometimes I look at Lushu and I'm like, is he just like a larva state of the Master of Masters? You know? Like, is he just a larva state of the Master? I don't know. Weird thought. All right. Is Yozora Brain? You know, I've seen that theory thrown around. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because he's not really snarky. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we've got a $5 super chat from Games for Eternity. Says, want to say I really appreciate your channel. I'm new to the channel, but it's been monumental in me getting back into Kingdom Hearts lore. That's what I'm here to do, Games for Eternity. And thank you for the $5. Very much appreciated. But that's what I'm here to do, man. keep the Kingdom Hearts conversation going, get us all wrapped up in the lore, refresh our brains, refresh the Kingdom Hearts brain rot, so when that next trailer or screenshot or anything drops, we're just 110% ready for it. But thank you, Games for Eternity, for the $5. I saw we had a Twitter chatter. Don't often get those. An X chatter. I still call it Twitter. Who am I kidding? It's hard to call something X, you know? Let me see. Twitter stream from Alice, who says, my voice is lost. How you doing, Alice? Thanks for dropping into the Twitter chat. I do appreciate it. Okay. Alrighty. Desmumi says, I hope the new franchise that Nomura cooks up ends up giving nods to the Kingdom Hearts universe, but it's its own thing. I'll say this, and this might be a controversial statement. I want Nomura to see the Kingdom Hearts series through. I want Nomura to get one more mainline Final Fantasy before he retires. But what I also want for Nomura, one indie game. I would love to see Nomura, before it's all said and done, give us one indie game separate from Square Enix, separate from the big wigs in the gaming industry, work with a small studio, and do something that really lets him creatively explore in a way a more corporate structure doesn't allow him to. So, we should be calling Twitter Key. Thank you. Games for Eternity, thank you. That's how I'll continue to refer to it as a Kingdom Hearts fan. Thank you. Beautiful. Still can't believe that Twitter got Norded. It got Norded hard. But hey, listen, I'm a fan. As a Xehanort fan, I won't complain. Do you think that Kairi will give Aqua the princess powers because Kairi needs to give her princess powers to another princess? No. I don't think Kairi can pass on her princess powers the way Keyblade wielders can pass on their powers. It's a good question, but I don't see it happening. Because I don't think Aqua is a princess. And that's what separates her from some of the other girls in the series, is she's just a little bit more sharp. She's a little bit more dangerous physically than the other girls in the series. So I don't think making Aqua a princess would necessarily be the right call. She's a warrior, you know? She's a warrior. Catherine Vargas says, in Land of Departure, an Aqua is going to train Kairi. So I think it makes sense to me that she gives the princess power to Aqua. I don't see that. I think look, if it happens, it happens. I just don't see it happening. I think the Princess of Heart powers stay very unique to Kairi. I think it's been her biggest contributions to the Darkseeker saga were her Princess of Heart powers, even though she is a Keyblade wielder. I think for the most part that stays unique to her, the Disney princesses, and if anything, Nameless Star. But as we talked about in previous episodes, where do the Princess of Heart powers come from? We still don't have an answer for that. Where do the Princess of Heart powers come from? So I hope that we can, over time, get to see that. I do wonder where those two winged men angel beings doing in Quadratum, the ones from Missing Link. The Odin's Ravens. I think we will see them, to be honest. I think we will see them. Okay. The Mad Philosopher says, that wouldn't make sense because they're born pure and free of darkness. For that to work, they have to allow darkness into their heart, and then it's no longer pure. You're talking about the princesses. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Is for that boat, that ship has sailed for Aqua. Let's put it that way. That ship has sailed for Aqua. Who says princess and warrior are mutually exclusive roles? They're not, Zine. I'm so glad you brought that up. They're not mutually exclusive. But I think that's mutually exclusive to Kairi. You see my point? That's why I'm not in favor of doing that with Aqua. Because Aqua's more of a warrior, not so much a princess. You know, but Kairi very uniquely, because again, we want to highlight what makes Kairi unique in this world. Kairi very uniquely is both a princess and a warrior. And I think that's something that we should keep as limited to Kairi as possible. Keep that as limited to Kairi as possible. I also think that her main contributions should always be her Princess of Heart powers, because that's what she is first and foremost. Would love to see her continue to contribute with the Keyblade. You saw a little bit of it in Kingdom Hearts 3's base game in the Keyblade War. You saw more of it in Remind. She was able to fend off Shion. She was able to land a hit, I believe, on Xemnas. in Remind, and then you have her fighting side by side with Sora against Xehanort, and she's doing warp strikes and all sorts of crazy stuff. So you're starting to see her fulfill that role too. I hope she continues to do so, but that Princess of Heart power should remain her primary. And again, like I said, that warrior and princess sort of motif should stay as limited to her as possible. Odin is so intriguing. What the hell is his deal? He's suspicious as fuck. Yeah, I mean, I think Missing Link was going to let us in on a little bit more, but now without the Missing Link context, we're just going to have to wait and see. Okay. In Dark Road, it gets explained that Xehanort is able to look through people's hearts. That's probably how he knew Kairi was a Princess of Heart. That's exactly how he knew Kairi was a Princess of Heart. That's exactly how he knew Kairi was a Princess of Heart. And in speaking of both Xehanort and Kairi, I think the two of them need to have some kind of clash in Quadratum. I think it would be epic. I think it would be epic beyond proportion. Okay, speaking of opposites, if only Missing Link came out, we would maybe know something. I know, right? Wouldn't that be fantastic? Okay. All right. Starting to feel like her and Kairi are meant to hint at something larger. They most certainly are. Listen. All I'm going to say, here's all I'm going to say. I've had a lot of people reach out to me in the last month or so and been like, dude, you were so right about Xehanort. Ah, you got that right. I didn't think they were going to bring him back. Let me tell you something. Everything I'm saying about Kairi, not everything. But just like I trusted the process with Xehanort, I'm telling y'all, trust the process with Kairi. Something big is coming. Might take till KH5, I hate to say it, but something big is coming. Kingdom Hearts 3 and Remind and Melody of Memory built her a crazy foundation that they can do a lot with. So if y'all trusted me with the Xehanort appearance, all I'm saying is trust me with Kairi next. You'll come back here. And you'll be like, I should have believed you. But we'll see. I'm having fun. Okay. Sick Breeze says, OMG, that's how Xehanort knew. Player even says that to him. Exactly. That's how Xehanort knew. He can see into other people's hearts. He could very see Kairi was a Princess of Heart. He could very much see that Ventus was a pure light. And that's why he feels Sora is this dull, ordinary boy, because there's nothing exceptional per se, and this isn't necessarily true, but in the way that Ventus being a pure light is exceptional, and in the sense that Kairi being a Princess of Heart is exceptional, Xehanort doesn't see anything like that when he looks into Sora's heart. That's why he calls him a dull, ordinary boy. Doesn't mean Sora is a dull, ordinary boy. Just means he lacks that exceptional quality that he was able to see in, say, Kairi and Ventus. Clearly, Xehanort thought more of Sora than a dull, ordinary boy. He was trying to turn him into his puppet. Okay, why would he go through all that trouble for a dull and ordinary puppet? Point being, that line was meant to imply something not as literal as it was symbolic. Okay. Let's see. Speaking Opposite says Missing Link's cancellation has me crying and punching the floor every day. Let's just pray we get like a back cover like movie for it soon. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I believe the hooded figure in the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer with the ravens is Odin. He's unaccounted for and the imagery is directly related. Yeah. We've definitely not seen the last of Odin. I can tell you that much. We've definitely not seen the last of Odin. I'd be willing to bet that we see, or at least hear of him in Kingdom Hearts 4. All right, gang, listen. I'm going to run to the little Keyblade room, okay? I'm going to run to the little Keyblade room, fill up on some water. We'll pick up right where we left off and keep this party going. But just hang tight. We'll be right back. I'm going to run to the little Keyblade room, refill my waters, and then we will keep this party rolling. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's phase that out here, and let's get back to it. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate the patience. Now, back to it. Let's see. Let's see here. I generally don't... Oh, you guys are talking soccer. Yeah, you know, I like soccer. It's okay. But I'm an American, so I prefer real football. You know, real football. Someone American. Okay. Odin from Kingdom Hearts. I see that. Kairi, what's this? Every character's opposite understands. Kairi doesn't understand. Naminé does. Not quite sure what that's referring to. If you maybe want to go into a further explanation. Ryanitis says, it's weird how Xehanort says he is a dull, ordinary boy, but Ansem sees his importance with connections and bringing people's hearts back by seeing it. Well, that's why I was saying earlier that when he calls Sora a dull, ordinary boy, he means that more symbolically than he does literally. You know, if he truly meant Sora was this dull, ordinary boy, he wouldn't go through all that trouble to turn him into his puppet. You know what I'm saying? Soccer is fire. I used to play striker. I know. Listen, I used to be a defender. I used to be a defender in soccer. I get it. But then I got normal testosterone levels, and I prefer American football. You know, it's just how it goes. All right. Hey, we apologize to everyone across the world. Yes, I do apologize to everyone across the world for my soccer takes. Okay? Okay. All right. I hope we see Naminé somehow in KH4. She's gonna have a role to play. I think the most exciting thing about Naminé's future is her ability to restore the memories of someone like Ventus. You know what I'm saying? I think that's honestly what is the most exciting thing about Naminé's future, is the potential she has for characters like Ventus in restoring their memories, and suddenly he's going to remember striking down Strelitzia, you know what I'm saying? I think there's just so much potential there that has me excited for the future of Naminé. Because I think Naminé is a great character, and I've got to be honest with you, I will be so pissed off if they give her a Keyblade. Do not, I mean, we've been over this a million times on the channel, but a lot of new people here, so maybe they don't know this take. I think it would be criminal to give Naminé a Keyblade. She's already interesting. She's already impactful. She's already unique. If you give Naminé a Keyblade, she becomes so much more like everybody else in the cast. You don't have to do this, okay? You don't have to give her a Keyblade. Give her a lab coat. Make her Ansem the Wise's apprentice. Keep her in Radiant Garden, and have her memory powers and restorative powers be the primary thing she focuses on. That'll make her amazing. That'll make her amazing, bro. That's all I'm saying. Jammies and Flowers says, hey, Landy, unsure if you've talked about this already, but I was wondering if you have thoughts on Riku giving Kairi her Keyblade in KH2. I don't really see people talking about that. You know, Nomura swears to us it's going to be explained one day. Nomura swears to us that it's going to be explained one day. But as much as I will sing the praises of Nomura and Nojiba's writing, I feel like they might have actually skipped over a thing or two when it comes to that. I think the reason you don't see many people talking about it is because, listen, if there was a trail of breadcrumbs that I could point to that would allow us to scrounge something up from that, believe me, I would do it by now. I would bet that very few people have examined Kairi as a character harder than I have. And if there were anything, man, that I could make of Riku giving her that Keyblade, believe me, I would. Believe me. Okay. Let's keep it going. Smacking Heartless with a paintbrush? Yeah, you're talking about Naminé, right? She doesn't need a Keyblade. Give her a paintbrush. They'll make that work. Right? Naminé and Answer the Wise can do the same thing they did to Sora and Ventus, put him back to sleep and restore his memories. That could make a fun birth by sleep too. You know what I mean? If they were to do that, a man can dream, right? A man can dream. Yo, no joke, man. Keyblades are becoming like a Super Saiyan bargain sale. That's what I'm saying. And look, I'll talk about the overlap. There's overlap between Kingdom Hearts and DBZ. A lot of it is sort of the shonen tropes that tend to pop up in a lot of Japanese media. But point being, just stop. Don't give Naminé the Keyblade. Just please. She's already interesting, man. She's already interesting. Okay, Riku gives her the Keyblade, then Kairi brings her back if he dies or something. I don't know, that's all I got. I mean, look, the episode is about the many mysteries surrounding Riku. I mean, I'm glad you brought this up. Let me give another shout out to, what was it? Where are they? Jammies and Flowers. I mean, shout out to you. Today's episode is about all the mysteries surrounding Riku, and that perhaps is the most unexplained and unsolved mystery surrounding Riku is where the hell did he get that from? Very valid question, and I so wish I had something to offer. Very rarely will people ask me something like that, and I won't have something I can scrounge up from it, but I literally, I've got nothing. I've got nothing for you. That's all I'll say. Xehanort equals Cell. I will say this. You know what's funny? Growing up, the Cell saga was peak DBZ, but now that I've gone back, the Frieza saga is peak DBZ. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I love the Cell saga, don't get me wrong, particularly the Gohan and Goku father-son trope. By the way, I desperately need a haircut, man. Look at this. But I'm getting it cut before episode 300. You know what I'm saying? But the problem with the Cell saga is the only way the Cell saga works is if the DBZ fighters act like freaking morons. That's the only way. Whereas like the Namek saga was like a chess match. Krillin and Gohan are moving around and negotiating and capturing the Dragon Balls, defending the Namekians. Vegeta's got his own motives, but he's got to team up temporarily with Krillin and Gohan and Krillin temporarily agree to team up with him, you know, and they're again, it's like this chess match where they're going around. I don't know. There's something about the Namekian Frieza saga that is just so perfect and so good. I love the Cell saga. I love it to death, but everyone acts like a moron. Everyone acts like such a moron throughout the whole Cell saga. That's all I'm going to say. Let's get back to the Great Saiyan Man is pretty shit. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. I did not mind the slice of life intro to the Buu saga. Call me crazy. I didn't mind it. Dismumi says Riku is the only one that actually was given birth on the Destiny's Islands, but is that ever true sometimes? I do wonder if his bloodline immigrated to the Destiny's Islands. That's a great point too. Now, Sora withholding, we don't know the absolute truth about Sora, but we do know that Riku, or rather, it's heavily implied Riku was born on Destiny Islands. So that does differentiate him from a lot of the others, though. You know, it's a good point, though. Why are we even talking about DBZ? Because DBZ is great. And rest in peace, Akira Toriyama, a man who used to collaborate and work with Square Enix. Okay? It all threads together. Okay? We love It's my sleepover, and I get to pick the movie. Okay? And for about an hour and 43 minutes, Kingdom Hearts has been the movie. For about 60 seconds, we pivoted to DBZ. Okay, because it's my sleepover, and I get to pick the movie. Alrighty, let's keep this going. All right, wait, I'm dumb. Where is Sora from? So it's implied Sora's from Destiny Islands. I'm just withholding final judgment because there's a lot of mystery surrounding Sora. And when his mom called him to dinner, we don't know if that's a foster mom in the way that Kairi is fostered on Destiny Islands. Riku is the only one to actually refer to a biological parent. In the whole Kingdom Hearts series, he refers to his dad at one point. But Riku is the only one to, like, fully refer to a biological parent and is heavily implied born on Destiny Islands. That could very well be true for Sora. It's just not as heavily implied as it is Riku. And Kairi, we know, wasn't from Destiny Islands. As Suko says, ain't none of them from Destiny Islands. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. All right, let's do a little swig. Wayward Dawn says Dragon Ball is actually better than DBZ. I will say Endgame Dragon Ball, when you get to the last few seasons of Dragon Ball, especially those King Piccolo fights, so good, man. So good. All right. Let's see how we're doing. Perfect. Okay, let's keep this rolling. Sora's mom is in Kingdom Hearts 1, and Sora's dad is mentioned by Riku talking to Terra on Destiny Island. I thought Riku was referring to his own dad on Destiny Islands. Let's pull that up. Okay? Let's actually pull that up. Riku meets Terra. That's the beauty of this show, man. We could just pull it right up. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Because I'm pretty sure he refers to, like, his own dad. I don't think he refers to, like, Sora's dad. But if he does, that'll be pretty interesting. All right, let's pull this up. Give me 1 second here. Okay. Gotta get that out of here, too, man. 1 second.
This light.
Let's pull it forward. Get to where he actually meets him.
Somewhere out there, there's this tree with star-shaped fruit.
Oh, ahoy! We're over here! Riku, race ya! First one to the boat. The outside world? Hey,
Here we go.
did you come from the outside world?
Why would you say that?
Because nobody lives out here. And I know you're not from the main island.
Smart kid. So how about you? What are you doing here?
Oh, my friend's dad took us.
Okay. Okay. All right, listen. Okay. Okay. Chat. We don't talk about this enough. I've had the wrong assumption. I've had the wrong assumption this whole time. Do I have any coffee? Because I'm about to go nuts. So I've had that a little backwards. We've never heard about Riku's parents, but we have a reference to both Sora's mom and dad. This is kind of tripping me out. This is kind of tripping me out. You know, we don't often hear about a character's parents in Kingdom Hearts, but Sora very uniquely, there's a contained reference to both his mom and dad. Hold up. Hold up. Hold up. Do you guys remember what we were talking about earlier? Do you guys remember what we were talking about earlier? Okay, I'm actually kind of losing my mind right now. This was supposed to be the end of the show, but it's not anymore. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. Let's get into it. So do you remember this part of the show? Okay. So now we know that Sora may actually be the one who was born on Destiny Islands. Riku's parents aren't referenced, and we directly know Kairi's not from the island. You weren't here, Suko. Well, hear me this. Who was it? I think it was you, Suko. I've been standing 10 toes about this in the Discord. All right, Suko, I got you. I got you. All right? So you said Riku's from another time or another place, right? We talked earlier in the show about this being a potential lineage for Riku. Ephemer, Xehanort, Riku. That this might be a potential bloodline lineage for him. So we have begged the question, what do Xehanort and Ephemer have in common? What Xehanort and Ephemer have in common is they've time traveled. Xehanort time travel to the past. Ephemer time travel to the future. As we saw in Kingdom Hearts 3's appearance in the Keyblade Graveyard. So we know Ephemer and Xehanort are connected by a lineage, and we can see that both of them had a knack for time travel, and both of them both of them have a deep connection to Scala and Kylum. So when we consider Riku's potential lineage here, that Xehanort and Ephemer both have a strong connection to time travel. One went time traveled in the past, one time traveled in the future. They both have a strong connection to Scala and Kylum. It begs the question that Suko brought up in the chat. I proposed earlier in the episode, maybe this is a sign Riku's going to time travel in the future. But what if a sort of time travel has already happened when Riku was young? What if Riku has some connection to Scala and Kylum too? That's what we would really need. If Riku connects to Scala, that strengthens this a whole lot. Daiza says maybe when old Scala fell, he got sent to Destiny Island because of Sora's light. Could be something like that. This has been on my mind for 2 months, says Suko. Well, I'm glad we're doing this now. Ryanitis says, I feel like Xehanort and Riku would be brothers if anything. Xehanort doesn't have time for no romance with all these... Wait. No way, no way. No, wait, no, 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 bro. No. The way Xehanort was brought forward in time to Destiny Islands, what if Riku was too? But this is where I get tripped up. Oh my god, I can't even think straight right now. I'm going to pivot to chat. I can't think straight. Okay. His family could be from there. He's got to be. His family's got to be from Scala and Kylum. Landy, go to 324 in the Terra Meeting Riku video you pulled up. You got it. Go to 324. We're at 315. All right, we're just going to let it play.
Out on the boat. This is where we like to play. But it won't let us row out here by ourselves. Not till we get older.
Must be hard, huh? Stuck in one place?
I heard once there was a kid who left for good.
Okay, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Okay, bro. Okay, bro. Okay, man. No, bro. Okay. Whoa. Time out. Is Riku's family from Scala and Kylum? And is that why both him and Xehanort have the same drive to leave the islands? Because they both have a tie back to the nexus from which all worlds spring? Because neither of them are from Destiny Islands, that's why they both have this drive to want to go out and see the outside world. And Kairi doesn't have that same drive. Okay, this all goes back to KH1. Okay? Kairi and Sora get labeled the lazy ones. You're just as lazy as he is. Why? Because Kairi, given what she went through, doesn't want to travel anywhere anymore. Okay, she'd like to stay in one place. Sora, maybe because he's from Destiny Islands, is a little bit lazy because he doesn't want to really leave the island. But Riku, like Xehanort, might be from elsewhere, which is what's driving them, because every step closer will always be a step closer to home. So what if the reason Riku, like Xehanort, had this drive to want to leave Destiny Islands is because, like Xehanort, he's not originally from Destiny Islands, and he has some kind of tie back to Scala and Kylum, a la Xehanort, a la Ephemer, in some way. As Grumcrum says, it always goes back to KH1. Riku even knew about the boy who left. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And both have a pull to the darkness as well. We're seeing the overlap. And, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a new super chat coming in from Wayward Dawn. So what if Riku didn't even need the damn recitement? Maybe this is why. Maybe this is part of why both Terra and Aqua saw so much in him. Because he is tied to this lineage. He is tied to this history. A seat of power for all Keyblade wielders. If his family connects back to Scala, because that's what this all keeps pointing to. The dreams too. The dreams too. No. There's too much going on here, chat. There's too much going on here. He's a blue blood. Is this why Riku was chosen by the Kingdom Key? It's exactly why he was chosen by the Kingdom Key. Landy, go back to when Terra sees both Sora and Riku sitting on the tree. Go back to when Terra sees Sora and Riku both sitting on the tree. Okay. I'm wondering what you want us to see there. But let's go.
Just wait for me? Giving up already? Come on, Sora. I can't run anymore.
Light. Was I guided here in order to meet that boy?
Okay, yeah. Was I guided here in order to meet that boy?
Oh, ahoy!
Okay. Hold on. So obviously Xehanort would have an interest in that. Obviously the Master of Masters. All of this was decided, right?
Wait for me? Giving up already? Come on, Sora. I can't run anymore.
Hold on.
Light.
Okay. That's where I gotta pause, right? Oh, wait a minute. Chat. I kind of get maybe within the duality of Riku, like Xehanort is the dark and Ephemer is the light. Interesting. So Riku and Xehanort may have been connected from the start. They very clearly were. That's why Terra is the one bequeathing Riku, so to speak. Oh my god. Sorry to extend another episode, Suko. Don't you apologize. This is insane. So yeah. Hold on. There we go. What if Destiny Islands is actually what remains of Scala? Because if I remember correctly, the one we see in KH3 is the memory of Xehanort. So here's what's interesting about Scala is I feel like all the worlds used to be Scala, the nexus from which all worlds spring, right? So I think all the worlds came from Scala. So you're correct in saying Destiny Islands was once Scala. I think they all were once Scala in one way or another. Like Land of Departure has very Scala ad Kylum-like vibes, if you ask me. I think Land of Departure has a lot of those vibes. But Destiny Islands too. Oh my god. Crazy that Xehanort's great something grandpa was trying to help Sora kill his grandson. I mean, and then you got to think about it too, with Ephemer appearing. Oh yeah, Xehanort's the dark, Ephemer's the light. That's why in KH3, when Ephemer appears, there's this big flash of light. And with Xehanort, he's often embodied with the darkness, and that's why Riku can wield both light and dark, because he is the continuation of Ephemer's lineage as the light, and Xehanort's lineage as the dark. That explains why he can wield both. Laura Bluebell says, to what I said earlier, Ephemer travels to the future, Xehanort travels to the past, and Riku learns to accept his present. I could see that. I could see that, but I still wonder if there's some time travel waiting for Riku out there, or if, in a sense, time travel maybe explains how he got here. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, yeah, that's why it's interesting that Yen Sid is telling Mickey to check out Scala to study up on the Lost Masters. Well, this is what's interesting. This is what's interesting. Uh-oh. I think we're okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. Let's reload it back up. Josh Z with a $5 super chat. My man says, when Aqua meets Sora, she says he is the spitting image of Ven, which to me suggests something deeper. I think it mostly suggests, in one sense, you could suggest a sense of clairvoyance from Aqua, but I doubt that's it. If anything, Terra is the clairvoyant one. Aqua, in a sense, spitting image of Ven, obviously on the surface they look similar, but like you're saying, it could hint at something deeper. It could be a reflection of why Sora has always had a strong connection to the light. You know? Could always explain that. Okay, nah, man, if anything, Xehanort and Riku are brothers. So I'm seeing this thrown in the chat, too. The idea that maybe at the end of Missing Link, but it wouldn't explain why Xehanort went there and Riku wasn't. You know, like, they would have had to be there at the same time. Or maybe they were sent to maybe they were sent to 2 different times. Okay, hear me out. I'll entertain this idea. I see you guys in the chat are talking about. What if Riku and Xehanort are brothers, and Xehanort was brought to one time, and Riku was brought to another? The only thing I would see going against this is that there's just nothing in the Dark Seeker saga to suggest that kind of connection. That's why I'm not too crazy on it. I've got to be honest. That's why I'm not too keen or crazy on it. Gotta wonder where Riku and Sora were originally from, though. We know Riku isn't from there, as they came there on their dad's boat, which is believed to be Sora's dad. Yes, but that's the island they play on. There's another bigger island where they all actually live. The Destiny Islands we know, where we only see the kids running around, is just a place where the kids hang out and play. There's like a bigger Destiny Islands where they actually like go to school, where their houses are, things like that. We've been on the wrong trail for the link. The link that's missing is either Riku or time itself. Well, again, time travel and time is something that threads between the 3 of them. Which leads me to believe, you know? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, there's a mainland we see Kairi and Selphie on in KH2. What a crossover. And also the island from KH1. You can see it in the distance from the mainland. Yep. Which I hope we can explore, like the greater Destiny Islands one day. Like, that would make me really happy. I'd hope we could do that. But oh my goodness. Ooh, baby. Okay. Let me just check something here. It would be so interesting if Riku and Sora were from somewhere else. I think Riku is. I think Riku's drive to want to see other worlds, his drive to want to leave the island. They make, again, it all goes back to KH1, right? They make it very obvious in KH1 that Riku's really the one who wants to take the boat and go. Sora and Kairi are kind of just going along, kind of just along for the ride. They're both being lazy about it, you know? So this desire of Riku to go elsewhere has to be a sign that maybe he himself is originally from elsewhere. Now, someone might try to counter that with, okay, then why doesn't Kairi have that same drive to want to go elsewhere? And I would counter that with, because the last time she traveled elsewhere, she was kidnapped by Xehanort and sent off to Destiny Islands. So maybe the Kairi travel's a little bit more traumatic, you know? Drive is innate. It's in his blood. Yeah, I mean, you even think about Ephemer, right? Who goes from Daybreak Town and then builds up Scala. My goodness. Okay. I walked around the main island back in the day via cheats. Ooh. That's epic. Give me 1 second here, folks. Okay. This has been some eye-opening stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have to think about this one a little more. Well, this is what makes podcasts like this interesting, right? Is I had a theory or two I definitely wanted to bring to you guys today, but really what I was bringing to you were the mysteries. And that maybe from the mysteries we could conjure something up, and you guys did not disappoint. I remember when having a Keyblade meant something. Now it feels like they're handed out like candy. Yes, Steelers, earlier we were referring to that as like Super Saiyan inflation. Some real Super Saiyan inflation going on in Kingdom Hearts. But I can appreciate that they really leaned into it post KH1. That really KH1 is kind of the only game where Keyblades are scarce. You start to see it open up in KH2, and then you flash back to a time where there were tons of Keyblade wielders. But it is interesting you bring that up, because at the same time, at least in KH3, the world didn't have many Keyblade wielders. Among the cast of characters, Keyblades are kind of handed out like candy. But among the world of Kingdom Hearts, they still remain relatively rare, which is cool. Okay. Andy says Riku got the same treatment as Baby Xehanort. The only difference is he didn't have someone like the player character watching over him. He got adopted by people. However, you could technically consider Brown Coat. That's true. That's true. Catherine says Ava could be Kyrie's grandma, since Kyrie's grandma knows a lot about what happens in the past Keyblade War and Union Cross and in the movie back cover, and maybe that's why Ava was in the Kingdom Hearts 4-second trailer. We've done a whole deep dive on Ava, and we definitely see the potential overlap she has with Kyrie's grandma in Radiant Garden. I have no evidence, but I think Old Scold is the mother of Sora. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. Was the mainland even rendered enough to traverse? That sounds suspiciously made up. It probably was poorly rendered, but you probably could walk around the blurry asset that was Destiny Islands. Don't sound that made up, but I see your point. Okay. Let me see here real quick. Beautiful. All right. Desmumi says, can anyone remember what was the malfunction within Scala's gates from the initial story? The key wielders used their society government to fund a project which connected other worlds, and they did have some disturbances at the start of Missing Link. That's also where we saw Axel's lineage bloodline, potentially, who was introduced to us as a Keyblade wielder. There was a silver counter girl. Yeah, Freya. It's possible Freya could be part of the silver hair lineage, but we would have to see. If only we had Missing Link to tell us. Okie dokie. Let's see. All right, we have crossed the 2-hour mark here. And I think we have flatlined in terms of our energy. I think we took the Riku theory. We stumbled on there at the end with Suko to its limit. So, what is this? So some of it is, some of it is traversable. Tiger Reader says, out of curiosity, how come some of the fandom think they know what Sora's mom looks like? I know some people have drawn her to be blonde. I think it's just fan art having fun. I don't think there's anyone who seriously thinks they know what they look like. Freya is from Riku's bloodline. Could be. Could be. She's a little skittish. I had a feeling that she was going to be connected to Chirithes in some way. Call me crazy. I just had this feeling. Call me crazy. All right. All right, gang. Like I said, we've crossed the 2-hour mark here. I think that's going to do it for today's episode. I had a really good time. I did not realize there were more mysteries to Riku than I thought. And I think like I said, we're going to cover Riku's story within a few weeks, maybe a couple weeks. We're going to do a Hero's Journey episode for Riku in Kingdom Hearts 3. But we've got more to think about. There's a lot to think about. Laurel says they did allude to that with Chirithes. Yeah, I had a feeling Freya was going to be something Chirithy related. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up today's episode. This was amazing. I love talking about Riku. He's probably my favorite character in all of Kingdom Hearts. Lushu and Master of Masters are making a bid to take that over, but through and through, at least through the Dark Seeker saga, he is 100% my favorite character. And it was amazing getting to talk to him about it. Getting to talk about him today. I'll be able to clip a lot of the theories we came up with. I'll upload that throughout the week. But let's give a little bit of love to those who threw a little extra love and support our way. Josh Z, Wayward Dawn, Games for Eternity, and Dom Rock throwing us, flowering us with super chats today. Never expected, but always appreciated, chat. You guys are all amazing. This has been a great episode. We are on to episode 300, which will air Monday night at 5:30. We're talking all things Master of Masters, but it is also July 13th, so there's a chance that we get something new for Kingdom Hearts. I doubt we get a trailer. Maybe we get an interview. Maybe we get artwork. We'll see. But it is July 13th. So Monday night, we're doing Kingdom Hearts Master of Masters, episode 300. And then Tuesday or Wednesday, we're going to do an episode on the ending, the coming ending of FF7 Revelation and how it will differ from the original game. But without further ado, let's wrap today's episode up, ladies and gentlemen. Got much love for all of you. Thank you for hanging out. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Shout out to Speaking Opposites with the last minute $5 super chat coming in the 11th hour to drop $5 on the table before he backflips up out of the room. Says, last minute, sorry, thanks for the great stream. Thank you, Speaking Opposites. As I always like to say, always appreciated, never expected. So be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I will see all of you beautiful sickos and normies Monday night, baby. See you there.